Parashat Behar begins with the mitzvah that's taken up our attention throughout the entire year, the mitzvah of Shemitah. And over again, the first few psukim in Parashat Behar associate the year of Shemitah with the day of Shabbos. The Torah tells us, V'shavsa ha'aretz Shabbos la'Hashem, that the year of Shemitah should be a year of rest, a year of Shabbos for the sake of Hashem. And the question is, what lies behind this link between Shemitah and Shabbos? Why are they so inextricably put together and juxtaposed in these first few psukim in Parashat Behar? So the Mefarshim, both the Sforno and the Netziv, they explain that there's a common denominator that underlies both of these time periods. Shemitah in an annual sense, on the year basis, and Shabbos on the weekly sense, on a daily basis. Both present for us times during which we pull away from our work. We pull away from the fields and from the offices, and instead we're able to focus in a very clear sense on our spiritual relationships with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Netziv adds that the Shemitah year, just like Shabbos, is a particularly fit time for a specific mitzvah, and that is the commandment of Talmud Torah. Why is it that Talmud Torah in particular is the mitzvah in which we're supposed to focus during this time period of Shemitah and during the time of Shabbos? The answer might be very simple, and that is that Talmud Torah keneged kulam. Of course, Talmud Torah is the most primary of all mitzvos. And when we are dealing with other responsibilities throughout the rest of the week or throughout the rest of the years of the agricultural cycle, we may not have the opportunity to delve into the depths and the breadth of Talmud Torah and take advantage of all of that which the mitzvah has to afford us. And therefore, says the Torah and explain the Mefarshim, that when you are free from the offices, when you're free from the fields, when you don't have those other legitimate responsibilities that cause and pose distractions to the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, so then focus in on that most primary of all mitzvahs. However, I believe that the answer goes even deeper than that, in a complementary sense. The question for us that Shemitah and Shabbos poses is, how do we relate to our free time? When we have discretionary time, when we're posed with the challenge of how to spend our time when we don't have other responsibilities that call us, what are the choices that we make? Rav Lichtenstein's Zatzal in By His Light is quoted as citing a tshuva of the Rosh, where the Rosh was trying to define exactly who constitutes the status of Talmud Chacham. We would have thought a priori, at first glance, we would have believed that a Talmud Chacham is someone who has mastery of the Torah corpus, who has an incredible knowledge and understanding of the ins and outs, all of the details of Talmud Torah, is able to put together the system of Torah. But explains the Rosh that that's not the case when it comes to certain laws. Explains the Rosh that a Talmud Chacham could be someone who spends most of his or her day at work and fulfilling other responsibilities. He might not use quantitatively the majority of their day for Torah study. However, if when they come home and they have a chance to study the Torah, they have free time, just like they might have during the Shemitah year and on Shabbos every week, and they decide to use that time for Talmud Torah, then such a person would have the status of Talmud Chacham. Why? Not necessarily because they have as much knowledge as the Torah giants, but because they've defined for themselves that Talmud Torah is at the top of their priorities, that in their hierarchy of Jewish living, Talmud Torah is always going to be primary. The way that they declare that for themselves and for others and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that when they have the chance to study, they're going to take advantage of it. The challenge of the Shemitah year and of Shabbos, perhaps the reason why they're inextricably linked, is because the Torah is telling us that when we have a chance to pull away from the other responsibilities that take up our time, we also have an incredible challenge and opportunity. And that is for us to declare for ourselves where our priorities truly lie. And if our top priority is Torah study, then that's going to be the avenue that we choose to follow when we have the chance, when we have the opportunity to have a year of Shabbos LaHashem, a year that's dedicated for spiritual energy and focus on our relationships with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I wish you all a good Shabbos.